Now, my presentation in my opening address is really going to be a chance, I suppose, to introduce why it is I do what I do in the context of waste reduction and in particular respect to plastic pollution in our oceans and landscapes, and to hopefully frame the education session which will be coming up this afternoon. I'm a fundamental supporter of education to drive participation in waste reduction initiatives and everything that comes along with trying to recover more resources and have a sustainable existence for our planet and all those inhabitants. So it really does echo back to, as I mentioned before, being a surfer. This was where my passion for the oceans began. Surfing gave me a chance to be part of something so much bigger, to be part of something which is inherently in all of us, whether you have a different philosophy or not, but, you know, they hypothesise that we came from the ocean. So to be part of the ocean, to experience what it's like to be vulnerable, to experience what it's like to be a part of this dynamic, ever-changing, fluid world was everything to me. But as I got older and started to travel the world and chase the next great wave, I realised this ocean, this place that was so precious to me, was so precious to all of us, was under attack. And it was under attack from something as seemingly insignificant as our waste. The ocean is downhill from everywhere. And so that alarm around the pollution of the oceans with plastics set in motion the chain of events which, you know, leads me to being here today. I did have one very interesting call to action that came after many years travelling the world with my surfboard and my snowboard chasing adventure. I wanted to share with you this very short video which does open your eyes up to what was, I suppose, the straw that broke the camel's back. I'd travelled to a very exotic destination in the Himalayas in Indian-administered Kashmir, and my fellow snowboarding community was there living in amongst what we thought was paradise. But we didn't realise there was a darker side to paradise. It was that all our waste being generated in this small village was actually being dumped over the side of a mountain. And this is that short clip. It was at this moment when I realised that we all have an impact. We're told it regularly, but to see it and to digest it, to acknowledge that I was having an impact, that my waste, just by putting it in the receptacle where I was requested to do so, I didn't know the story that came next. And so for me, I'd seen the consequences in the ocean, I'd surfed and swum amongst it, and now here I was in the highest mountain range on earth, and I was seeing where the journey essentially starts, that journey which ultimately ends up in our ocean sinks. So I came back with a real fire in the belly around what I could do to make a difference. Turns out I wasn't the only one extremely passionate about the issue of protecting our oceans from plastic and marine debris. And so with my colleagues Amanda Marichal and Roberta Dixon-Volk, we established an organisation in 2009 with a very simple premise. It was called Take 3. Take 3 for the sea. Imagine if we could mobilise people all around Australia, in our community, perhaps even around the world, to do something ever so small to help solve a problem that seemed ever so big. And so we launched. We had no idea where it would take us. And lo and behold, some 8 years later, we really are starting to get traction here. We're really starting to show that with a simple action comes huge power and huge opportunity when magnified. So it really is about the power of the masses. For myself, realising this, I realised it came with responsibilities. Starting the organisation and becoming a spokesperson for our oceans meant it was very important that I became educated. Yes, I'd gone to university and done my science degree and actively read as much as I could, but I realised that to really become a messenger for the oceans, I had to go out there and see the problem with my own eyes. And so I set about, in 2011, sailing across the North Pacific Ocean with a bunch of radical artists, activists and scientists to study the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. And it was here, in seeing it with my own eyes, in feeling it in my gut, that I was able to solidify my role and make that commitment. I will do all in my power to protect our oceans and strive for this elusive, sustainable relationship with our biosphere for all humanity. Seeing beaches on Hawaii where the beaches now have plastic sand as opposed to normal sand should be a call to action for everyone, no matter what your discipline in the realm of waste. So Take 3 is here to get out there and educate the world, to be the messengers, to try and mobilise the masses, to acknowledge this problem and participate in those small actions to make it better. We go out into schools. We're reaching about 50,000 school students each year with our direct education programs. A lot more education is happening online. We're trying our hand at working with iconic institutions like Surf Life Saving Australia, and it's really about trying to work with anyone who will participate in trying to spread this message and engage and mobilise communities. There's some examples of some of our messaging going on bins around Australia, and a bit of a concept there for a sweeper that's going to be going in down at the Shoalhaven region. But I think really what we've struck upon with Take 3 is the power of current digital communications and social media. I'm sure there'll be lots of conversations around this over the duration of the conference. It is challenging, it's not easy. You can't just flick a switch and expect it to work. It does take a lot of work, a lot of strategy and a lot of the right people. But the power of social media is phenomenal, and I think we really have proven that. It started with just using strong imagery and messaging to interest people in what we were talking about, and that has then found that we've got huge levels of participation. People, when given the right messages and the right tools, are incredibly good at picking it up and running with it, whether that's enacting actions in their own local communities, changing their behaviour and becoming their own communicators, their own environmental advocates. And what we realise with the power of social media is there's a massive untapped resource. Obviously, we're in the game of removing litter and plastic pollution from the environment, as are many clean-up organisations. We recognise that what we've sort of pioneered is what we call the micro clean-up. We fully support all clean-up activities where we get out together and we clean en masse, but what about the individuals out there? I can bet 90% of you are the type of people that if you're walking along the beach or through a park and you see a plastic straw or a plastic bag, you're the kind of people that are going to pick it up and remove it. But that data has never been captured before. So we're now experimenting with the power of social media and communications to actually catalogue and understand more about litter hotspots, distribution and human effort by using social media and digital communications. But as many of our great colleagues and organisations will say, we're not here to pick up rubbish forever. I think it's Heidi Taylor from Tangaroa Blues says, if all we ever do is pick up rubbish, that's all we'll ever do. We're not here at this conference today to advocate low-level, end-of-chain solutions. We need to step it up a notch. We need to go to the source. We need to turn off the tap. And I'm really excited to see the conversations that are going to be taking place at the conference, looking at, well, where are we heading? It's been peddled for many years, ideas of a circular economy, or at least adopting its principles, and all the offshoot philosophies that come with it. And I'm really excited to see what's going to come of this conference, because I think the climate is as ripe and as exciting as it's ever going to be. And I'll be giving a bit more of a background on this in my opening address tomorrow. I just find that the appetite for change is a cloud swirling amongst us. We just need to be that seed to catalyse it and to turn it into something really, really, truly exciting. And I fundamentally believe Australia has a role to play to really step it up a notch and do much more. So if we don't, well, this is the current status. This is how much plastic is entering the world's oceans every 15 seconds. So if you need any more convincing as to why I do what I do and why many of you out there who are strong advocates for change are doing what you do, then this is it. I do hope that I can come back in the years ahead and find that the statistics are reversing, we are saving our oceans, and we are creating the elusive dream of a sustainable relationship with our biosphere. Thank you for your time.